Hi everyone, welcome to Mel's Campervan Adventures. And I'm going to be covering a range of topics, really, not just showing videos of the beautiful beaches and places that I find, or talking about different aspects of the places that I visit, because I've no idea, I'm on the Welsh tour, what I'm going to discover. And one of the things that I absolutely love when I'm on my trips is just having random conversations with people. And sometimes it's a coffee, it's a half an hour chat, and sometimes it's a little bit longer. And in this trip alone, I've met a beautiful soul called Zachariah, who was down on the Cardiff Bay. And I went over chatting to him, and he knew Wales really well and was looking at the spiritual aspects of places to visit, and he really knew the Christian history of the country, and how far back it dates and all that. That was an absolutely inspiring conversation. And I just went over to give him a bottle of water because he was sat there, and people were giving him money. And then I met a lady who wanted to know about what the trip is like and doing it solo. And I said, yes, it can be anxiety evoking when you're going to new places, as anyone feels, regardless of whether you're going in a van, going on a train, you've got a whole itinerary laid out or haven't. Anxiety is a natural part of human nature. When we start to do something different, it can be exhilarating and anxiety evoking, because I can get that real sense of awe as I turn a corner, as I've gone up a cliff road, and I turn a corner and I see the whole bay out in front of me, the water sparkling, as well as anxiety of how do I climb up that road, and will the van make it, and will it be okay, because it's an old van and it's a heavy thing. And uh and then the same sense of awe when I turn the corner and go to places like Lyme Regis that have got beautiful chocolate box cottages, and different parts of Devon that I went to last year. So it's a combination of those different emotions, but it's what makes us feel alive and experience vitality. And for those that don't know me, I've had probably three periods of my life where I had to spend a lot of time indoors, where I could just basically get out into the back garden, couldn't walk very far. I've had two serious periods of burnout, one in um, 2000, um, after a sort of long road of study and bringing up the kids and things like that. But I just hit a rock basically and was sleeping so much, and felt like I lost a lot of the summer. I had another period of burnout a few, maybe 6 years after that. It wasn't as bad, but it curtails how much you can go and do with friends and spend time out, because every conversation, it can get to the point where every conversation and activity is just so draining. And then I had a serious car accident in 2019, and it was more physical than it was like burnout. But for a few months, I had PTSD, the sort of impact of the car pilot. So I had nightmares and dreams and waking up in cold sweats, and really struggled to get out and about and do things. Everything was difficult, picking up a basket to put a few items in there. I didn't drive for 7 months, so I was getting taxis everywhere, taxis to the train stations to try and get into work. I started having those very strange migraines with the halo effect. That if I felt that coming on, I'd have to have a few hours out. So it was really hard to plan anything and spend time with friends. And late 2019, I decided to just take the chance and book yoga teacher training. And I was still in a lot of pain and still recovering, but I was practicing yoga every day as part of the healing routines that I deployed, like sound healing, aromatherapy, yoga, and of course, it was just difficult of getting out and about and getting any appointments to see the physio and the chiropractor. And early on, you're doing some very basic exercises, stretches, things like that. So I did the yoga teacher training in 2019, and it was where I slowly started to make a recovery. So the opportunity came up, which sort of out the blue, to be able to get the van. And I was very anxious about the van to get. And you buy your vans and you know, you can get worried about what you're buying and whether there's going to be any problems with it. But I had been out and about on the road quite a lot as a solo female anyway, since my son had gone to university. I travelled a lot before I had kids around the UK and did that solo, worked away in different places around the UK for 5 years, and then didn't do anything for years. And then when my son went to uni, I had the car at the time and I was going down to visit him a lot. And I just really enjoyed every time I went down, finding a new place that I hadn't been to before, visiting him, having some lunch, and then finding more new places. And that continued really from about 2016. And I was lucky that I was also reducing the hours that I was working so I could have a lot of long weekends. So by sort of 2017, 2018, I wasn't desperate like you can get to have holidays, because by 2018 I was working 3 days a week, so I could go Friday to Monday and still do the things I needed to do at home. So I was getting out and about a lot at that time, and then was lucky to get this van with my uncle's support uh, early last year, 2024. So like I said, it took a while to have the confidence to get it. My sons were great. They were encouraging me because my anxiety actually went through the roof because it was a big purchase and I hadn't made a big purchase like that in a long time. And anyway, so they supported me and came with me to sort it all out. And I started doing my road trips last year. And so the point is that you have anxiety and you'll have fears, and it's natural, and you can only go so far to check like the MOT history and get a mechanic to look at it, or somebody that really knows vans. And you're not necessarily going to know what you've bought and what you need, whether you do need a fridge and a cooker and all of the storage space I've got here, which I love, because people who know me, that even when I had a car, I was at 3 pairs of shoes, boots, trainers, sandals, raincoats, summer jackets, because I was moving around so much and the weather changes so much in the UK. It was just always, I didn't have to think, you know, about all that stuff. I just had what I needed. And for me, it's just about what you need to make the travel flow as well as possible. But there are no guarantees. And even I was just chatting to a lady today, even on my first trip, I think it was the first trip, maybe the second, when I went down to Devon. And there is a video I recorded actually where the water light came on the van, and I really didn't know what to do. And I thought, do I call the breakdown services? They might tow me home. And luckily, I was a couple of miles away from Devon, and there was about 7 garages in one very small area in Honiton. So I called the first few, and all of them were busy, couldn't see me. I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna, what am I gonna do? So then my intuition said, just call the next one. I called the next one. And he said, yeah, bring it down. He checked the van and he said, oh, it's not the water cooler, it's the radiator. And I was like, oh, your anxiety kicks in again. Anyway, he said, go and have a coffee. And I was like, go and have coffee. I've got to book a hotel, slightly going into panic mode. I'm like, right, no, Mel, practice your yoga, practice your Zen, and go and have a coffee. I just got there just before they were closing because it was a village, and not everything's open like it is where I live. So I got a coffee, went back, and he said, oh, yeah, it's all sorted now. I was like, what? He said, yeah. He said, but you know what? You're really lucky it's a petrol van, because I found the only petrol radiator in everywhere in Devon. And you've got to ask, haven't you, how the stars lined up that day, and everything just got sorted. And I was able to give him my credit card and pay, and he didn't, I didn't charge me that much actually. It was really fair. And I've met some really fair garages and mechanics. People share all these horror stories, but there's some really good people out there that will really do. When I've had problems or broken down, like stalled, people come out to help me, and that's been really cool. So, sort of the purpose of this is you can stay at home and twiddle your thumbs and dream, and dreaming's great, and visualizing what you want and imagining that. But you've got to start a small step, even if it's buying a travel mag, even if it's doing a mood board and a vision board and putting all the places that you want to go up there and where you want to stay and what you want to see, and spending time in the evenings visualizing that and saying, yeah, at some point this will happen, this will happen. And taking small trips like I did with the kids. You know, we didn't have much money when the kids were small, but I could take them to different country parks and give them experiences. And same as my mom did, you know, we could get out and about. And then when I got the car, we could go a bit further afield. And I used to get the really cheap holidays. Do you remember if you're in the UK, you remember the newspapers used to do those really cheap, I don't know if it was £7 or £10 holidays. So I used to collect the vouchers, bring friends. I think I went on about 5 of those trips. And I'd bring friends or their friends. I took their friends away with me when they were little so that they'd have people to play with. So there was always a way round something at the time. There was always a way round it, around following, pursuing that urge to move forward and travel. So, yeah, if you get the urge and you've got some idea and you can't quite get to the place you want to get to yet, get out and enjoy it. Allow the dopamine hits to kick in. Take a bus ride to a part of the city you've not been to before. If you're in the London area, get the London Guide and ask yourself, what can I discover that I don't know about yet? The brain needs novelty. Well-being and mental health is supported when we start expanding outside of our comfort zone. And if our comfort zone is here, in the sofa, only ever doing the same thing every day, and we don't step outside of that, then we can end up feeling lost, alone, and miserable. And we don't get to meet new people and share sometimes amazing stories. And when you've got a van, it's like when you have a dog. When I looked after my friend's dog, you know, I'd bump into people all the time who had a dog, and you talk about the dogs, and that's just dog, you know, the dog culture sort of thing. Then you get a van, it's similar. You go to Van Life Festival and people are asking about vans, and you have some technical conversations, and my technical knowledge has increased from 0 to something, maybe 25%, I don't know. So the brain needs novelty and those experiences to come out your comfort zone. And when you start to experience exhilaration and joy and happiness and awe, whether it's raining or sunshine or just that, oh, I'm discovering something new on your own or with your friends, the whole energy in your body starts to shift and amazing things can happen. So hopefully you found this inspiring. Like and subscribe to my page. And it's got a little bit dark in here because I'm in the shade, which is great because the sun's coming out today and it's been on average 23 to 27 degrees. And 27 degrees in a van is super hot. So that's the other thing I've learned when I go to campsites is find a tree, see if you can get the space that's near the tree, near the shade. And actually this one that I've been on for a few days has a lot of shade and it's beautiful, and the wind goes through the trees, and in the morning it's so still and it's great for just that mindfulness moment, that zen of sitting there and just being. No time, no place, just being, no interruptions. And sometimes you can get a good hour, 2 hours of that, especially if you wake up early, which I did this morning. I woke up about 3 o'clock, but I thought, no, I'm not getting up. 4 o'clock earliest. So like and subscribe. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I look forward to sharing more videos with you about whatever inspires me on the way. There will be conversations with Mel, scenery of the coast, maybe some historical stuff. I don't know. I don't really plan it because it's not the way I operate. I have a broad idea. And I like working like that. I like having seen how things unfold. Look forward to seeing you soon.